Lewis. Solomon Islands police are investigating the death of a man who fell off a cliff. Central Provincial Police Commander Superintendent David Salakai says initial reports indicated the deceased appeared to have been assaulted before being thrown off the edge of the cliff. Nurses and relatives did what they could for the man, but he died not long after the incident. Officers in Russell and Tulangi have arrested a suspect in relation to the death. The Attorney General's office in American Samoa has denied claims of police brutality filed in a lawsuit. The suit alleges excessive force, denial of medical care, false charges and cover-up attempts. Attorney Sean Morrison says his client was brutally beaten by officers in 2021. He says the denial from the Attorney General's office is not the end of the case. It's a procedural matter which brings the case into the High Court. New Zealand's Labour Party has confirmed no decision on an amnesty for overstayers is to be made before Parliament dissolves. Data requested under the Official Information Act shows delay for out-of-hours compliance visits to Pacific community members have been going on for at least 8 years. All the while in 2021, the Labour government apologised for the dawn raids of the 1970s. Carmel Sipuloni says calls for an amnesty have been heard.
It's not looking likely that can happen before Parliament dissolves, but what we have committed to is continuing to do the work. And we've said from the start, this is not off the table, but this is much more complicated than what people realise. And so we haven't nailed this yet, but we are continuing to work on it.
Meanwhile, a national-led government would not back an amnesty for overstayers. This follows an outcry by Pacific community leaders in Aotearoa for the government to give all overstayers amnesty, saying they are not criminals. National's Pacific People's spokesperson has made his position clear.
We've looked at this and we're not generally in support of an amnesty for overstayers. We think that would send the wrong message, particularly to all the migrants in New Zealand who are doing the right thing and following the protocols. So our current policy settings are that we're not supportive of an amnesty for overstayers.
Still in New Zealand, migrants caught up in an immigration fraud and living in overcrowded conditions could soon be without a house and income. Dozens of mainly Bangladeshi men living at two houses in the upland suburbs of Linfield and Gleneden say they paid around $20,000 for visas, but when they got here, the jobs vanished. Men in one of the houses have to vacate in about 2 weeks. Masood Alam, an advocate with immigration law firm Amerins, says the men hope the government will step in.
That the government will offer them an open work visa that will allow them to work for anyone or anywhere. These guys actually not unskilled migrants. They have worked in their respective fields, like in welders, educators, carpenter, for at least 5 years. And such a skill is really demandable for in New Zealand.
A specialist from India who's working as a healthcare assistant in New Zealand says overseas trained doctors feel like their skills are going to waste. Paneet Kaur, who moved to Aotearoa in 2020, is frustrated that her 12-year medical career, including 2 as a consultant anaesthetist, is not fully recognised here. She's preparing to resit the clinical registration exam next year, after which she will have to find a position as an intern for 2 years.
I'm still determined because I've done it for so many years and now I'm a qualified person and don't want to waste my skills.
The Medical Council says it's expanded pathways to registration and more than 1,000 international medical graduates registered in the year to June without sitting an exam. No further survivors are expected from a fire in the derelict apartment in Johannesburg that has killed more than 70 people and injured over 50. A now burnt-out complex was being rented out to homeless migrants. It's what's known locally as a hijacked building, illegally taken over by criminal gangs and offered to the desperate. A firefighter in Johannesburg, Robert Mulauzi says housing people in this way must be stopped.
As a city, we must speed up the process of making sure that we eradicate the buildings like this one. Those buildings which are hijacked, we need to make sure that they're eradicated because you cannot continue losing 73 lives lost in a day. I mean, I've got about 23 years in the service. I've never come across something like this in my whole life.
The confirmed death toll has subsequently been updated to 74. The latest economic data out of China shows that the country's manufacturing activity contracted for a fifth straight month. The BBC's Nick Marsh reports.
Another month, another set of worrying figures in China. This time round, the numbers were fractionally better than expected, but ultimately they still show that demand for Chinese goods from abroad is poor. And for an economy that relies on exports, that's not good news. But there are deeper problems still. Since lifting tough zero-COVID restrictions at the end of last year, China's seen record low economic growth, record youth unemployment, and falling prices. Worse still, the country's housing market, that used to be worth a third of China's entire wealth, has collapsed.
In sport, Vanuatu and Solomon Islands were the winners in Thursday's matches at the Oceania Football Confederation Olympic qualifier. The Solomons are 2 from 2 after beating Samoa 3-0 yesterday. Vanuatu bounced back from a first-up loss to the Solomons, beating Tonga 4-0. Group games wrap up over the weekend. The playoff matches start next Wednesday. And 2 Olympic weightlifters will head Australia's weightlifting squad for the 2023 Pacific Games in Honiara. Inside the Games reports, Kiana Elliott and Matthew Leitman are among 13 weightlifters, which will form part of a team expected to feature 85 Australian athletes. In addition to the weightlifters, a team of 8 sailors has been chosen. And that's the latest news and sport for RNZ Pacific. You can read more on our website, rnzi.com.
There's a new, surprisingly mild-mannered novel out, The Librarianist, and Jonathan Sedler on the overuse of therapy speak. You may be triggered by this. Me, I'm in denial. Colkin Hill, join me tomorrow morning from 8 on RNZ National.
Forecast from Met Service to midnight now for Northland, Auckland and Coromandel Peninsula, mainly fine. Areas of morning fog. Isolated showers in Northland spread to Auckland and Coromandel Peninsula late in the day. Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Taupo and Gisborne fine apart from areas of morning low cloud or fog. Hawke's Bay, Wairarapa, Taumarunui, Taihape and Waipoma to Wellington. Areas of cloud from Taranaki to Wellington, otherwise it's fine. Nelson, Marlborough, Canterbury and Otago, except Clutha, a fine day. Buller and Westland, cloudy at times, with isolated showers in Westland. Fiordland, rain this morning, heavy in the south. Clutha and Southland, scattered rain. Sets in Southland from afternoon. Chatham Islands, cloud at times. In the main centre, Tāmaki, Makoto, Auckland, areas of morning fog, otherwise fine, and then cloud from afternoon with isolated showers. Easterlies from late morning, 17 degrees. Paudanga's fine, cloudier this evening. Afternoon northeasterlies and 16. Kirikiriroa, Hamilton, morning fog, then fine, cloudier this evening. Light winds and 17. Te Whanganui Aotearoa, Wellington, fine apart from areas of morning and evening cloud. Northerlies strong in exposed places till evening, 13. Ōtautahi, Christchurch, fine. Afternoon northeasterlies, 18. And Ōtepoti, Dunedin, high cloud, light winds and 16 degrees. That's 9 minutes past 7.
Thank you very much, Nicola, and you are listening to Morning Report on RNZ National. Well, Nelson homeowners who were red-stickered, well, their homes were red-stickered after the August floods last year, are celebrating a multi-million-dollar flood recovery deal, which includes a buyout of their properties. The government will contribute up to $12 million, with the Nelson City Council contributing a similar amount that is subject to council agreement. The floods forced up to 200 people from their homes, including Jeff Moffat and his wife, whose home on the Tahu Nanui Hills is too expensive to fix after a large slip sent 1,000 tons of debris onto his property. And that is by Jeff Moffat joins me now. Good morning, Jeff. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ingrid.
Now, are you going to get a buyout under this scheme? Is that your understanding?
That is our hope. We still have some way to go yet. Of course, the council has to agree to the buyout and its contribution, so we're hoping that will happen. If so, yes, we would expect to be amongst those properties that would qualify.
So what was your response when you heard about the deal yesterday?
Look, just tremendous relief, really. We've had a hellish 12 months in all respects. Not just being forced out of our home, but just the frustrations of trying to get insurance, EQC, our driveway cleared, all the debris removed. It's been a process in itself, and every step seems to have been difficult, really. The whole process has been quite trying.
Did you allow yourself a cheeky little bubble?
Yeah, we did actually, but we're probably slightly in advance of it, and we know that lots of other people are also perhaps feeling their relief because I felt that with the announcement on the North Island about relief for victims of Gabrielle and the Auckland anniversary storms, and we don't begrudge them at all. In fact, we think it's fantastic, but we've always felt that Nelson deserved to be treated as fairly by the government, and it's been a real process achieving that fairness, really.
Your local MP has been speaking with us this morning and said that was down to geotechnical difficulties and working through the process. Do you accept that?
Look, it's been a two-part process. Initially, the council appointed Geotech had to report back, and we waited months and months and months for that. During the time our cars were trapped in the garage, we had no cars for 5 or 6 months, and we relied on the generosity of friends. And that whole process seemed to take far too long, although we kept being assured that it could happen.